So the Giants, I mean, bless you if you're a Giants fan, they haven't sniffed the postseason since 2016, not even like a little sniffle. This year, it's not looking promising, starting the season the same as last, 1-5. Now, yes, you have injuries to key players, Saquon Barkley, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, all not expected to play this weekend. But what else is the problem? You see there 2 wins, 15 losses. When you're looking at the Giants at home, September, October, the past 5 seasons there, 1-16 against the spread. Well, as our NFL insider Jonathan Jones puts it, it is equal parts difficult and maddening to figure out. So let's welcome in our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. The Giants, a big part of the focus in your notebook this week. By the way, people can find that at CBSSports.com. The Giants, they're a mess again, but you're also hearing, if this is a silver lining, they're not folding quite yet. What's going on here, JJ?
Yeah, and it is, Amanda. It is some silver lining for Giants fans that, okay, they're 1-5 again. They continue to have the worst record ever since the boat picture was taken with Odell and the gang back at the start of the playoffs several years ago. But I'm hearing from sources in the building, hey, this team hasn't at all given up. The guys are coming in on their off days. They're not just coming in for treatment and rehab. They're coming in to watch film. They're coming in to lift. Daniel Jones is there every single day. And yeah, they've been dealt a terrible injury hand here, right? You look at all the injuries to the offensive line. You look at all the injuries to all of the weapons that they have. And Saquon Barkley, his injury against the Dallas Cowboys from 2 weeks ago, where he was just starting to feel like himself and was telling people in the building, yeah, this is feeling like a big week for me. And so you have to wonder what's next for the Giants, because you look at their schedule. Obviously, they have Carolina coming up this week, a game that I have the Panthers winning. And then after that, where do you have the wins for the Giants? Against Kansas City, against Vegas, against the Buccaneers. And so 1-5 could get to 1-9 really quickly if they can't stay in these games, if they can't get healthy. I'm told that General Manager Dave Gettleman, in the final year of his contract, if things go the way that they seem to be going for this Giants team, missing the playoffs again, of course, he would not be retained there as general manager. Joe Judge, though, in the second year of his 5-year deal, as long as there's not a catastrophic end to this season, as long as the Giants don't end up 1-16, for example, I believe that Joe Judge would be back for the 2022 season. Again, it's still early, but I know Giants fans and fans of the NFL at large are wondering about the hot seat, and I can tell you that while it is early, if this is just sort of an average bad season for the Giants, I would expect Joe Judge back next year.
And he has taken a lot of that blame this past week. All right, JJ, John Gruden, let's talk about this. No longer a part of the NFL, but this investigation into him, the Washington football team as well. It's all tied together, and it is far from done, because now the U.S. House of Representatives Oversight Committee now getting involved. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, 2 House Democrats, including the chairwoman on the House Committee on Reform and Oversight, wrote a letter to Roger Goodell requesting, and depending on how you want to read that, maybe even demanding, the documents and details, information related to the Washington football team investigation that the NFL put on in the workplace, the toxic workplace environment that was going on there for so many years under Dan Snyder and under then team president Bruce Allen. Now 650,000 emails from the Washington football team in that investigation have never come out. Beth Wilkinson, the investigator in that case, was told, hey, we want an oral report, but we don't want a written report because the topics are too sensitive for some of the accusers. We've heard from many accusers who say, no, we want this out here. In fact, a letter was written by many of those accusers to major NFL sponsors pushing for this, and now we are hearing, of course, from Congress requesting these documents. This is not a subpoena. I want to be clear about this. This is not something that the NFL absolutely has to do. And the NFL has said that they share the concerns of the chairwoman when it comes to making sure that all workplaces are free of discrimination and harassment, of course, and that they look forward to speaking with the chairwoman's office in the near future. I asked a source there, okay, well, does that mean that they're going to comply, that the league is actually going to turn over these documents? And I didn't get an answer on that. But they do have to respond by Thursday, November the 4th, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But this was a next logical step, that nothing was really going to make the NFL put these documents out there short of Congress, and now we have Congress getting involved.
Well, Congress getting involved there. Then we have Deshaun Watson still dealing with his 22 civil lawsuits there. But of course, the trade rumors around him have been heating up this week with the trade deadline just around the corner. Now, JJ, as you know, most of the talk still around the Dolphins. Of course, Brian Flores repeating the same thing to his our guy, but also the Texans potentially looking for other suitors as well. What is the latest that you can tell us about Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, the latest continues to be, as I've been reporting since the end of training camp, the Dolphins are the front runner to land Deshaun Watson. And they're the front runner because they're the only runner right now before this November 2nd trade deadline to land Deshaun Watson. So both of these teams have been in pretty regular communication. I'm told that the Houston Texans have not really come down from their asking price of 3 firsts and 2 twos or something equivalent to that, be it draft picks and or players. And so that's what we're looking at right now. We heard the leaks from very likely the Houston side earlier this week saying, hey, closing in on something. You know, it did appear that Houston, and not just appear, I think I can say it a little stronger than that, Houston is trying to get other folks involved before the deadline so that they can get their price met. That the Miami Dolphins are not there right now, that owner Stephen Ross is very interested in upgrading the quarterback position and having Deshaun Watson there, but that the Dolphins, because of that price and for whatever other reason, certainly the very serious allegations, civil lawsuits, potential legal issues that Deshaun Watson can, and will be facing, that this deal has yet to get done. I still, and it's hard to really prognosticate and predict, will this deal get done or not? I'm comfortable saying that if Deshaun Watson is traded anywhere by November 2nd, he will be traded to the Miami Dolphins. I'm comfortable saying that Deshaun Watson will not be a Texan in 2022. But beyond that, will a deal actually get done? I know that Deshaun wants to be away from Houston, wants to be in Miami, and that many in the Miami Dolphins organization ultimately want Deshaun Watson. Whether he'd actually be able to play for them in 2021 or not is still to be determined. But one interesting note, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was in owner Stephen Ross's suite earlier this month when the Dolphins played the Colts. I don't know what they discussed, but you know, maybe they talked about this.
JJ, this is so speculation. Put your crystal ball in front of you. Do we see Deshaun Watson play football at all this season?
I don't think so. And I know that he is not on the commissioner's exempt list, but there's no discipline from the NFL right now because the Houston Texans are doing the work for the NFL. They are sitting Deshaun Watson, and they're paying him, and everyone is okay with that. They're not happy about it, but they're okay with it. Now, if he gets traded somewhere that would want to play him rather quickly, does the NFL get involved? Well, the league, through sources, are certainly saying that, well, nothing materially has changed, but you can always expect the unexpected when it comes to situations like these, and so I would not at all be surprised if there is some sort of suspension or commissioner's exempt list or something that prevents Deshaun Watson from ultimately taking the field. What that is still hard to determine because there's so many things up in the air, Amanda, as you noted earlier in your question. So it's hard to say, but if I had to say, would he play in 2021 or not, I would say likely not.
Okay, you can stop reading the tarot cards now. We'll move on to some more firm things here beyond Deshaun Watson. Maybe some other names you're keeping an eye on before that November 2nd deadline.
I think you have to look at Odell Beckham Jr. there in Cleveland, and we know he's banged up, and he gutted out that game last night against the Denver Broncos. It was really impressive to see how he put his body out there for his team, very much in need of a weapon with so many weapons down. I'm told that while the Browns would pick up the phone and listen to someone if they called about Odell Beckham, no one's really calling about him. He has about $9 million guaranteed money on this year's salary. He is obviously banged up. There are questions about whether he's the Odell of old, and do you want to take that on? But as I wrote in today's notebook on CBSSports.com, the one scenario I could see it happen is if, unfortunately, over these next couple of weeks before the trade deadline, there is a wide receiver on a team that is in contention, a number one wide receiver who gets injured, who goes down for the rest of the season or some significant time, that team may then be desperate enough or then get into a sweepstakes where, hey, we need to go out and get a guy because this is our window. So maybe that would then have them meet whatever price the Cleveland Browns would ask for. They're not asking for anything. He's not being actively shopped. But if there were a call to come in, then that call would be accepted, I believe. Also, Have to look at the Indianapolis Colts running back Marlon Mack. He's a guy who's been on the trade block for some time, ever since they decided to roll with their running backs there. You look elsewhere, and perhaps an Evan Ingram, the tight end with the New York Giants, they're going to need a fresh start in some sort of split, whether it's before the trade deadline or it is after the trade deadline and next year. Xavier Howard, if the Miami Dolphins continue down this path, they may very well be sellers here. And they just reworked his deal there in Miami, so that's a guy that you should keep an eye on. Also, Cleveland Ferrell, the defensive end for the Raiders, former number 4 overall pick. Now that John Gruden is out of there and he has been playing a lot of reserve time and really relegated to that reserve role, maybe the Raiders move on from him and try to get something recouped there. So a lot's to keep our eye on here until November 2nd. We're going to see how those trade rumors really start firing up about mid next week or so.
It will be a very busy time between now and then. JJ, we appreciate it. By the way, check out his articles again on CBSSports.com. So you got a lot of games coming up this weekend. Here are the ones that you can catch on CBS on Sunday. You have the Bengals at the Ravens. Joe Burrow going up against Lamar Jackson. The Chiefs at Titans. The Titans are the ones going into that game with the winning record there. You see 4-2, but the Chiefs are the favorite on the road. And then Texans at Cardinals. Welcome Zach Ertz, and it's the first time J.J. Watt will face his former team.